Did anybody have any thoughts from last week?
People.
Was it just I answered every question ever made and everything's good and perfect and I didn't create any controversy or intentional or non-intentional, backhand anybody? Nothing. All right.
Yeah.
God, I'm so good. Let me tell you how good I am. Cool. So we'll go ahead and get started then. And you guys like that video of Michaela, right?
And of Kevin Jordan, outside ski pressure.
Kevin Jordan, where was that at? What?
That was the second link.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Did I send 2 links? Maybe I did.
Mhm.
Sometimes I can't remember what I did from the morning. No, I may have come on afterwards. This was like Eric Harbor's deal, but yeah, Kevin Jordan, I've seen that video. That's a very, very good video too about outside ski pressure. Highly encourage it. One of the big things I wanted to, talk about with that video with, with Michaela in it was how quickly she's able to get to, make this kind of long leg, short leg, how she aligns so well over the outside leg with her center of mass, how upright her body is, how she creates those tremendous angles so that she can do that. So we'll go ahead and get started. Since there are no questions, everything's perfect. All right, here we go. Part 2. This is the part 2 of our ski to ski fundamentals. Hopefully you remember what this is. Outside ski pressure while directing it. These are the key takeaways I was trying to get to in the last one. Balancing over the outside ski requires lateral separation. That's that whole idea of not just standing like this, but standing so that we can be functional, or we create an angle. Maybe if I back up a little bit, it'll be more obvious. Instead of going like this, just aligning the body, center mass over the leg, I actually stand like this. And that way I'm more functional. And then if I add in a little rotational separation, I get better balance. And we'll talk about that later. Center mass crosses over the base of support, which travels a straighter path down the hill than the base of support. Base support is essentially the legs. Long leg, short leg keeps the center of mass to the inside of each turn by resulting buildup of forces. And then I found this little statement in the Far West Developmental Initiative and what you'd look for. And they said it kind of nice and succinctly. Watch for the line of action from the center of mass to the inside edge of the outside ski. And that's this little book that I have. And it's basically it's like how to balance over the outside ski. They also have a whole book, which is they have their fundamentals, which are 9 fundamentals, but it's it's more about racing. Just saying, this is a book, and it's available on the Far West Developmental Initiative's website if you guys are interested. Questions there? Sound like we did exactly what we did? And then of course, just to kind of reiterate this, Deb has her, I don't know if any of you seen Deb's video from like a week ago, but it is essentially taken over the PSIA's word of the week. Everybody is talking about it. I guess when she speaks, everybody listens. And it went around all over the place on the West. I don't know. I know. Have you heard from anybody else about it, Gordon? But it's been all over all of the Vail calls that I've attended, which I attended all of them this week. They've all been talking about it. So anyway, what she has is their core values. And part of her core values is the outside ski to outside ski. And she talks about early establishment and balance, deliberate active weight transfer, that's more the old school, or the passive weight transfer, which is more of what we do now, may occur at different phases of the turn, whatever the situation calls for. And then inside knee, foot, knee, and hip flex as a result have a slight lead.
Right.
By the way, Shia, these slides will be available. They'll be available in any of the links. Matter of fact, they're available now. Watch out, Ann. Somebody's climbing in through your window.
Oh.
All right, cool. And then well, we'll get to that part. So I got a video because I can.
Mhm.
And I love this video because this video here has, the point of reference, the point that they focus on is where the head is. So the head doesn't move.
Look at that. That's crazy. God, the head doesn't move.
But the key thing is look how the body aligns over the outside ski before the ski even engages.
Mm.
So there's really no upward extension.
No, not in this case, right?
It's just moving across. Oh my
It's
gosh.
really just the legs come up, the body comes up a little bit just to make room for it, and then they go back out. But the outside leg is at its maximum extension at the apex,
Mhm.
and at the most flexion kind of at the initiation, at the transition phase. Really beautiful skiing.
His head looks photoshopped on there. I can't believe it.
Mhm.
I love this perspective because it really
Ah.
shows how the body moves.
Mhm.
It's incredible. Huh.
So we'll go ahead and we're going
Wow.
to speed it up a little bit. And I'm going to ask you guys, when does the skis, how does he release the skis? Pull it down a little bit more here.
He's angry.
How does he release the skis?
There's one moment of flat and a pivot, and then he will flex to get to the next edge. At least that's what it looks like visually to me.
Yeah, so his outside leg is pretty straight here. I mean, it's flexed enough that he allows him some movement. And then we get to here, when he gets to right about here, you could pretty much tell that he's made the decision to start to go the other way. And he does that by flexing the outside leg,
Mhm.
which allows his center of mass to move over his body, move over the skis. Move over the skis. Skis go sideways, his body moves downhill. And this is an important concept because, frankly, this is not how most of us ski. Our clients don't ski like this, right?
So
Mm.
it's by like softening the outside leg.
Yeah,
That sort
exactly.
of,
Mhm.
And it
yeah,
really kinda
Brogan
sh-
talks about that, softening the outside leg to initiate the turn.
Yeah, so he gets to right here. And it's like the center of mass gets closer to the skis
Mhm. Mhm.
as he releases, because he releases by flexing. And then he's ready to move to the other side, lets the skis move out, and that center of mass remains going down the hill. He doesn't
Wow.
get in the way.
Mhm.
Would you call flexing the same as retraction?
It is, but I think retraction, in my mind, retraction is a physical pulling of the legs up.
And
Pulling.
I'm trying to understand the difference.
Well, if one of them is an intentional flex, like one like pulling my legs up, right? Back here, and I'm like this, pulling my legs up. And the other one is more softening, or
Mhm.
I'm looking for another word. I'm softening those outside legs, I'm either
It's more,
stiffening or
more
I'm softening.
passive.
More passive, yeah.
We
I'm
were
letting the-
talking about this on the Vail call, remember?
Yeah.
We
And
went into this specifically retraction versus flexion.
I think you got Chris could say, he could say a lot less words than he normally does. He tends to just keep talking, but yeah, I honestly believe it's just letting the skis do the work. They come up underneath you automatically.
Yeah, I was
As
gonna
the
say,
body moves down, you almost flex as to keep from getting wedged into the skis.
So you're saying flexing is softening the outside leg and very passive, and then
Yeah,
retraction is pulling the legs in.
that gets into a more nuanced conversation about what is flexing, because this is flexing. But this
But
is flexing too.
And
right?
so
It's like,
flexing,
okay.
it's like engaging the tip of the ski in like a way where you're guiding it and it does that motion. And so it's an important nuance and I was trying to understand it. Thank you.
No, it is a very much a nuance, and don't get me wrong. And flexing to me is, like I said, this is flexing to me, right? It's like stiffening of the muscles, but it's softening and stiffening are good ways to say extending. And what would be the opposite of extending? Bending.
Contracting.
I mean, we could get.
So,
Fortunately, PSI has picked flexing as a way to talk about bending the legs.
so a couple of terms I've heard are concentric and eccentric
Uh-huh.
contraction. So concentric means an active movement and eccentric means a resistive movement.
Right.
So if we're doing a retraction term, it's more active. We're engaging the upper thighs, the quadriceps to pull the knees closer to the chest. And when we're flexing, it's more passive. We're holding on, but letting the knees flex.
Well,
Makes sense.
I think the softening is really relaxing the muscles as opposed to actively pulling the legs up in a retraction.
Mhm.
Yes.
Well, I'm hearing that maybe softening is a more active thing than
Well,
soft.
yeah, I mean, you could say they're all active, right? I'm
Can I say something? If
Yeah, go ahead.
it's hard to imagine doing it, sitting in my chair here, but could you say that when you soften the leg, I feel that if your upper body is moving in the correct direction, when you soften that leg, the forces take over in the right way. The ski engages and it's easy to flatten it and roll it over. I'm just imagining if I'm doing that, as I'm moving, now my shoulders and my head are going that way, that leg can soften and the forces just bring that ski around. I feel like it's easy. It makes it easy. I don't know. You're not forcing it. Does that have something to do with it, that the forces take over if everything is aligned correctly?
yes, I'm gonna say that. Actually, I might have something here that might help.
Mhm.
Here is what I would consider a retraction turn. If I can get this to play, here we go. This is like physically retracting the legs.
Mm,
This is
Mhm.
Johnny Mosley from like years ago, and this is just incredible, you know?
Hmm.
He is physically retracting the legs.
mhm. Mhm.
Where this guy is like, this guy is more, he's allowing the legs to soften so that the center of mass can travel over the skis.
Mhm.
To be honest, that
Mm.
is such a helpful distinction because
Yeah.
I actually was like doing what someone on the hill told me were inside ski turns because I had so bought into this idea of like early initiation of like and transfer of weight mentally.
Okay. So we're gonna go into something a little bit next, pretty soon here in a second. We're gonna go into something that's gonna be like, it's gonna be, it was a topic that came out the last time. I thought I'd explain a little bit better. And it's called that over the top move. This is an example of how the legs don't get in the way of moving. But there are well, a lot of our clients and a lot of our, if you guys move on to trainer status, you're gonna be running into this quite a bit in steeper conditions where your instructors, the people that you're working with are gonna be running into having a block, okay? Here's another good video too.
Mhm.
You know, could never have too much JF. And this again, this is a more showing how the legs kind of soften between turns. I think he's a master of this. Jonathan Blue is very, very good at this too. Where they're on and off their edges and they do it through this softening where they move from one side to the other,
Mhm.
cross the skis by softening the outside leg.
Mm.
Well, when you soften the outside leg, that essentially starts to lengthen the new outside leg.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
for me, it's the beginning of transition. That's where I've made that decision. I'm starting to go the other way. This turn is over.
Mhm.
And we could slow this down. But yeah, anyway. I could watch him all day.
Mm.
Mhm. Mhm.
Cool. All right, there's Deb again. And then the key is why do we talk about separation? And the reason why we talk about separation is because we're really looking for this anticipatory movement. And anticipation is a position or a movement of anticipation that allows us to start moving in a different direction. And it is technically under the rotational control. I think they're all so interconnected. I have a hard time maintaining that philosophy. And this is something according to Chuck, right? You have to create separation at higher levels of skiing in order to achieve certain outcomes.
Mhm.
And that outcome is not necessarily rotationally related. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Not necessarily, yeah, that's true.
yes, it does.
Yeah, there it has a lot to do. Anticipation in that position, and I'm talking about it as a position. That anticipation, which is demonstrated by these two skiers here, allow us to align, it allows us to angulate, it allows us to manage the pressure It allows us to functionally move fore and aft on our skis. It allows us to do all these things in a very, very quick and more responsive movement. Would you agree with that, Gordon? You got anything you want to add to that?
Well, I was gonna ask a question, because the
Yeah.
guy in the orange and black looks pretty square. His shoulders are pointing the same direction as his feet.
Yeah,
And I know that's kind of where a lot of countries are going with more high performance turns.
right.
So they're not having as much separation, but I mean, can you talk to that a little bit? How he's keeping pressure to the outside ski with really kind of minimal. I mean, I see a little bit of counter kind of in the mid body, but I feel like his shoulders are pretty square. I may be missing it.
And it would depend. I mean, what we don't know here, this is a snapshot, right? And I would agree that there's probably a little bit less angulation than we would like to see in some cases.
Mhm.
I don't know what his intent are. I don't know what the preferred outcome is. So I can't really speak to that yet. And if this is just somebody who's just now either entering into a turn or he's reaching the fall line, this could be the position he is in, where the skis will be pointing in the direction of the body. Again, I think you have to watch out for these images at times sometimes, right? We need to look at it in terms of, we have to look at it in terms of when we're not, in a sequence of movements, which is why videos, right? And I have a video here and I need to, oh, yeah, here we go. And this is a good video because it will, anyway, how much lateral separation depends on the resulting forces generated. Obviously, the guy on the right is not experiencing that, or left is not experiencing as many forces as the guy on the right is. So he's going to be creating more angles to resist that. And as Gordon said last year, I mean, the guy on the left, I'm sorry, on the right is going to have more ski penetration with his outside ski, because that center of mass is pretty well aligned over that edge.
And so is there one that is ideal?
I think both of these are pretty ideal. But if you want to see ideal, I mean, this is your guy, right? We got him slowed down where you can see him kind of bouncing a little bit. But anyway, let's go to our first MA here. And because, it's me. And the task here is medium radius carved turns. So everybody want to speak to this?
All right,
Well,
well,
he looks like he's lined up over his inside ski a lot.
Okay.
It looks like the snow's blowing off of his outside ski, and he's standing on his inside ski. That's what it looks like to me.
Cool.
Right there.
but
especially.
the snow is blowing across the length of the ski, so that means you have the center of mass over the base of support. The
Mhm.
skis are consistently the same distance, so I don't see any convergence or divergence.
Cool. But in
And there
terms of out,
is
in terms of outside,
angulation.
yeah, in terms of outside ski pressure,
Mm. Mm-mm.
I don't really see that. And I see his turns to the left are less controlled and more, skis are more splayed than they are when he has his turns to the right.
cool. Can you tell me why?
I was just going to say that I think it's because there's very limited outside ski pressure. So the outside ski is moving away at its own will without there being control or pressure from the skier.
Mhm.
He's tipping to the inside. Looks like he's tipping onto that inside ski. You ever see those guys going down the hill on their inside ski and they're like whistling and picking up the outside ski? That's what it looks like he's doing a little bit.
I almost think he doesn't have enough pressure on the inside ski, which is why his inside ski is getting away from him.
You
He's
don't
also
think he has-
rotating towards it a little. There's some rotation towards it.
Do you think
I
there's,
see some.
you think there's not enough pressure on the inside ski?
No, I think he has most of the pressure on the inside ski.
His weight is on the inside with very limited outside, and it's getting away from him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, and he's tipping to the inside and he's rotating a little to the, with the
Yeah.
ski,
Right there.
upper body, yeah. Not horrible, but yeah, he's doing it.
He's very variable turn to turn.
Yeah, there's a loss of control right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what the hell is that, right?
Oh, look his foot
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
And I'm gonna agree, there's a difference between one side and the other, and it's quite
Mm-hmm.
significant.
Mhm.
And it really comes down to this side is a good side,
Yes.
and he creates
That's
an
better.
alignment, an early alignment
And angulation.
and angulation,
Yes.
Mhm.
which allows him to stack over that outside ski. Hung on a little too long there. And then when he gets to this side,
On that inside ski.
where's the angulation we had on the other side? It's
Not
lost.
really.
It is
Mhm.
lost. He is tipping here instead of
there's a little-
angulation.
There is a little bit of hip leveling, but it's
Mhm.
not effective because it's not stacking. It's
Hmm.
reaching.
That's because the
again-
weight is on the inside ski. There's not enough pressure on the outside ski.
Yeah. Never gets off the inside ski, does he?
Mhm.
Except for
Yeah, I
right
think
there,
so.
right? So this is the beginning of something good, right? We could make this good,
Mhm.
but it doesn't.
Right there. Right there.
Right, because we're off the inside ski there, and then as soon as it goes down, bam. Within a ski length, he's on the inside ski again.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then that outside ski just goes for the ride.
Hmm.
But the key here that I want to demonstrate is
Can we go
There's
back a couple
alignment.
frames?
here's an alignment. There's an alignment there. So this is a fairly successful turn here, right? There's some skidding, but at least it's manageable.
Mhm.
There's no alignment here.
Hmm.
And there's a displacement issue going on with the outside ski, but everything's happening on the inside ski. And I can tell you that this is a right-footed skier. So why is he doing all this with his left foot?
Hmm.
Cool.
I got a question there. When you're
Yeah.
making your left turns,
Yeah,
so those
Sure.
they look smoother, right?
right.
but the task is carved turns, right? And looks like you're pushing off a lot more snow and doing more skidding when you're making left turns. But then when you go back to the right, yeah, definitely we're seeing some of that lateral displacement and doesn't look as smooth, not as much angulation, but it seems like you're doing a better job carving on your right turns. And
Mhm.
do you see that? And I'm trying to figure out if that's related to ski at all.
Yeah, no,
If
I
that
agree.
is indeed narrow.
I agree. I 100% agree. This is why we do video.
It's interesting to see that his turn shape to his strong side is much better than his turn shape to the other side where he's weaker. There, there.
Okay, so less than ideal, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
By the way, that's me.
No way.
Oh, don't worry. I was just equally as surprised too when I saw it.
Doesn't he use
Granted, I was pretty exhausted by the time. That's why I picked this one. I was pretty exhausted by this time. This is during spring fling at Vail and I hadn't skied in a week. So I was pretty dead.
So it looks like your left-footed turns,
Yeah,
are like your right foot is getting away from you. And
Yep.
to me, that means you're on the inside of that turn. Is that right?
yes, 100%.
And so what's the prescription?
Prescription is I need to figure out how to get on the outside ski and stay there. The alignment happens.
Mhm.
The alignment happens right here. The alignment happens. And then I get literally as soon as the ski hits the ground, I lose it.
Doug, were you really trying to get some high edge angles there?
I'm trying to get
Doesn't
some
look
high
like
edge
your
angles.
normal
But
skiing.
you're just, I mean, and you're just too on the inside. You have too much weight on the
I'm-
inside foot,
I
on
am
the
railing on the inside. If I had to put a percentage,
but only on
here.
the left side.
yeah, isn't it
And
weird?
worse on that side.
Because I'm a
Mhm.
right-footed skier.
Mhm.
Okay. But it's so,
It happens.
but go back to the other side.
Yeah, the other side's like, other than hanging on too long, it's pretty good. That's pretty performance skiing. Maybe hanging on a little too long,
Mhm.
which is where that splay happens right there. And then there's a little 1-2 as I move to the next turn. Right, and then I get off the inside ski or the old outside ski, and I'm on a new inside ski, and the tip goes down first. I like that. It's encouraging.
Mhm.
But as soon as I do, it's like
Yeah.
I'm trying to save myself, right?
What
I'm tipping
was the
too quickly.
terrain? What was the terrain? Because
Oh,
I also see
it's
you
pretty
dragging
steep.
the pole. Yeah.
No, it's pretty steep.
Yeah.
It's pretty steep. It's not. It doesn't look that steep, but it's North Star over at Vail, which is probably a good 30 degrees. Top part of North Star. And then I get down here to the nice easy part and it's no problem at all, right? Cool. All right, back to what I'm trying to say because I'm already losing time. Cool. We've all laughed at me. I don't mind. I have very thick skin, so I don't mind. All right, so, and this is the point that I was trying to make was on those 1 turns, even though I started out with pretty good alignment going to the, my right hand turns that are going over this way. My turns started out good, but then I ended up not aligned anymore because I squared up.
Mm.
Where ideally we want to be able to align over the outside ski with our bodies with this center of mass piece, right?
Mhm.
And that's what allows us to create these high edge angles through inclination and angulation instead of just inclination. Center of mass lined over the outside edge. And then lateral separation creates alignment, lateral extension of the outside leg, and center of mass moves down the hill. And that's straight from Gordon's presentation from last year. And the idea is that I can release by flexing and the center of mass goes that way. It doesn't go that way. It doesn't go
Mhm.
backwards. It goes that way down the hill. And we'll just call this the female Chuck, Carolyn. Low edge angle because it's mostly through inclination. Center of
Mm.
mass is lined more over both skis, which results more weight on the inside ski. And as you can tell, there's almost no separations. You just completely square to the skis.
Mhm.
Vertical orientation of legs and center of mass tend to move up and down and not down the hill.
Hmm.
All right. All right, so we now are going to talk about this thing called the up and over movement. And I don't know, this is something you're going to run into, and I brought it up for a reason. Because it came up in the last presentation. Somebody was talking about that. There are times where we stand on the outside leg too long. And because we don't flex that leg and we don't get it out of the way, we create a block.
Mm.
And a block causes us to do weird things, right? And tends to come from this idea of, I tend to call it, it's about intent. It's either offensive or defensive. If you're a defensive skier or you're in a defensive position, this is where this block tends to happen. Now, don't get me just confused with what we call the up and over drill. There is an up and over drill, which I'm going to probably be doing quite a bit this next winter, looking at that video, where you actively pick up the inside leg and then fall into the next turn. It's like a one-legged ski turn, except you're actively falling and you're trying to catch up with your outside leg. This is where we get stuck. We get stuck. We're finishing a turn and we're stuck. And the only way we can move now
Mm.
is this way. And because we're pushing back up the hill,
Mm.
and we tend to push a little bit backwards too. And this will cause us to lose our separation. And then we got to go up and then literally fall into the next turn. Instead of doing this nice smooth movement where we flex the old outside leg and start to lengthen the new outside leg and then move into the next turn this way. Up and over. And I have a video. And we've seen this video before, so don't remember what it was called. Maybe I have it in the other folder. Yeah, here we go. And these are some short turns, and we've seen this video before. We were talking about him with the fore aft movements. Actually, it was Gordon recommended this one. But this kind of exhibits that classic up and over movement.
Mhm. Mhm. Up, down, yep. Mhm.
But Chuck, he's moving back up the hill a little bit during transition because he's
that is-
pushing to finish rather than absorbing to finish.
Well, and the key point that we're making here is that the ideal is what? So we're right here, we're at the end of the turn, right?
Mhm.
At what point in time does he ever flex the old outside leg? Does it
Mhm.
ever change distance,
Mhm.
right? And as a
Mhm.
result, yeah, he's pushing back up the hill,
Mhm.
and now he's got to kind of fall over the fence to get to the next side.
Hmm.
And it's like, it's pretty bad on one side more than the other, but they're both pretty similar. Because even from here, there's never any flexing that's happening.
Mhm.
In fact, he gets stuck in that last one. That's kind of where he gets that little hitch. He gets it right here, and then it's like, oh, and he actually physically falls over the leg because it's still
Mhm.
stuck out there.
Interesting.
Can you point out, I'm sorry, where would you suggest he changes?
All right, let's get down here where he's a little closer. All right, so right here, okay, he's finishing his turn. So now he's made the decision to
Okay, so
change directions, right?
I see like a massive lead change here, but I didn't see it in the
Yeah, well, keep
frames.
keep that idea, okay? Because a massive lead that change is actually where he's not making a massive lead change here, is he? It's when he gets squashed.
Now he's got to do something.
And now he's got to do something because he's
Mhm.
never released the downhill ski. He's still standing on it even right here.
His legs are the same.
They're still the same. So he's
Mm.
stuck. And then he just then he's got to go up and back and then start to move over.
Mhm.
And that
Hmm.
creates all the inner weirdnesses, a lot of pivot. And then he's back into it again. And it's pretty similar over here, except this is more of a stivot turn. And then, but the legs don't change direction, right? I mean, sorry, change length.
No. The same.
And then you're back over here again and watch.
Hmm.
And then he gets to here and then he goes, I need to change direction, I need to change direction, I need to change direction. But the leg doesn't move, it doesn't get shorter, right? We would like to see, ideally, we would like to see the old outside leg get shorter and the new inside leg get longer.
Mhm.
Instead, what we're seeing is the legs are remaining the same length, and the only way he can get the body to move down the hill is to go up and over.
Mm.
So he kind of pushes himself up, but the only direction he can push now is back because he's pushing against the hill,
Against the ski.
right? So he's got to push himself up, and then hopefully the skis will get out of the way and I'll fall back into the next turn again.
Interesting.
So the lack of separation, because he's mostly inclining and very little angulation.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of inclination in there. Yeah,
Yeah. So
Especially
is
on-
that what's
especially on one
causing, is
side.
that the cause or the effect?
Yeah, well, it's not I think the cause is that he never actively changes outside ski pressure to the new outside ski pressure. It happens as a result of a push off and a twist. And then he gets to here because his engagement is like, I mean, he's not engaged, right? And then finally, bam, there he's engaged. But his skis are almost caught 30 degrees across the hill by that time. Right? Because he's robbed himself of his any time that he could get early pressure. Now it's better on this side. He's got more outside ski pressure there,
It's got more angles.
but it looks like it's mostly in the rear of the ski because the rear of the ski is what's turning faster.
You can see,
So it's like a little dig me right here, right? Little push out, little slide into third base, right? Tips are off the ground. I mean, you don't see a lot of snow coming off the tips, it's almost all the tails.
all the tail.
And then he gets to this side and look how he goes up. Uh-oh, now I gotta go across. And you can see the body move. Oh, I gotta go up. And then by the time he lands again, he's already got a pivot. Oh, I gotta start turning. These are supposed to be short radius. And then bam, there's the engagement. Way late. And then he stands on the leg. And instead of releasing, he doesn't do it through long leg, short leg. He does it through an up move, up and backwards.
Okay. Yeah.
And really the only thing that's keeping his body moving down the hill is momentum. This makes sense to everybody? And this speaks to pressure management.
I think the only thing I would say is like, I see more inside ski snow spray
Yeah.
at initiation than,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be more of an indicative, that would be indicative of kind of what he's doing. You know, we're always looking for cause and effect relationships.
Up and down. Whoa, look at that.
Yeah.
Oof. He's so upright that his shoulders are almost back. Very upright.
Yeah.
And he's compensating with a ton of ankle flex. It's creating some oversteer in the shaping phase of the turn.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, cool. What was next? All right, you guys familiar with the word toppling? Because if you're not, I'm not really going to get too far into explaining it.
I'm not.
No,
No.
I'm not familiar with it.
I'm very, yes, familiar.
You're very familiar.
Yeah, that
That's just me.
that was Ron LeMaster's.
Yeah, Ron LeMaster kind of started, and then it kind of died for a while, and now it's kind of back with a vengeance, right?
Wow.
So the idea of toppling is that we do the fastest way for us to move down the hill is to fall.
Like move your body across the fall lane, right?
And Tom Gelly does it with his Lego man. He's got like a Lego man, and he picks one foot up on the Lego man, he puts it up like this, and he goes, that's toppling.
It's falling.
Go like this, and I topple into the turn this way.
Mhm.
So
I-
as come across the hill.
I
get off the
literally-
new leg and I topple in, and it's kind of, this speaks to that up and over drill. That he brought out actually not too long ago. It's a really, really good drill. You guys can have access to any of his videos.
I literally was taught to like go down the hill on like steep terrain by doing this. And
Yes.
to me, this is the best way to teach someone to like actually be down the hill. And I'm having trouble understanding why it's a bad thing, except for now I know it's a bad thing.
Is it a bad thing?
Well, I
Who
don't
said
know.
it-
You know,
Who said it's a bad thing?
well, I can tell you, it has been a bad thing for me when I was like fully in my like, I'm gonna topple. Like I learned this and then I just did it and I like went over my skis. So I can tell you, if you fully believe in this strategy, like you just face plant. So yeah, it's the best thing I ever learned, to be honest.
I'm
So
gonna agree.
I
Go
think-
ahead, Logan.
I was gonna say, I think the trick is you're falling over the inside ski, moving the body down the hill, but you have to have your outside ski come around to catch up to you. If that ski doesn't come around, you're just gonna fall over head first. Because I have taken that kind of fall a few times working on that.
Yeah, if you haven't, you're not trying. But the key is that, I mean, the idea behind toppling is that you're constantly falling down the hill and the skis just catch you every single time.
Yeah, well, the term is
But
toppling, not falling.
You
Toppling,
want
yeah.
to you want to like press it that far. And that's, I mean, I did it. I literally went over my skis. And so like, if you don't suggest this as like that far of a drill, like you may never experience it. And frankly, that was a really wonderful thing that I experienced and I won't do it again.
Yeah. Exactly. I would encourage everybody to give it a try. And try to look it up and try to look at it. Literally, it is about moving the body down the hill. But I mean, Tom Gelly kind of describes it as falling, but you have to overcome the fear because nobody wants to do that. But your body always responds in a way that's usually positive. So, I mean, if you're running down the street, you're literally falling forward. The only thing that's keeping you up is the fact your legs are getting up underneath you as quickly as possible. The body does respond to the lack of balance.
I guess what I could add to this is that I had the benefit of receiving this drill for the first time as somebody who had not skied or I had skied black diamonds, but I was skiing the back seat. And
Mhm.
this person was like telling me I needed to like just like throw my body over my skis in a like a diagonal type of way, like where my skis were pointing to the left. I needed to like move my body to the right.
Mhm.
And I did it. I tried it. And it worked. It was really amazing. The cool thing was like it dramatically improved my skiing. And then I also had to learn like that was not always the thing you should do. I had to dial it in. It was like I don't know how to explain it, but like he gave me the grossest thing I could experience, which is quite possibly the best thing he could have suggested. But maybe like a month later, I tried the same thing on less steep terrain and I was like face over skis. Because yeah, like it was the wrong thing to do.
Well, that's exactly the truth, isn't it? I mean, how much do you topple? Well, it depends. So anyway, let's go back. I just thought I wanted to throw that out there. I don't want to get too deep into it because it can be a slippery slope for some trainers to start talking about toppling. I am not afraid to bring up controversial subjects because this is a process for me as much as it is for everybody else, and I like to have every and all angles whenever I can. I like the idea of toppling. I love the idea of falling down the hill, and frankly, I think it's going to be a good thing. It's something I'm going to be approaching quite significantly next year. Is how can I be moving down the hill a lot more and at higher speeds?
The movement is the same kind of thing like what the Lee Perini calls hip to tip.
Yeah, hip to tip, exactly. All right, bumps.
Oh,
So we
Yowza.
have this is a level 2 candidate, but it doesn't matter.
mm,
And this is not terribly difficult terrain, but it doesn't matter.
Hmm.
How's she doing with her pressure from ski to ski?
Doesn't seem to vary very much.
Hmm.
It's very static.
The pressure looks equal to me on both of the inside and the outside ski.
mhm.
Oh,
But more so in the turn to the left than the right, I think, or am I getting the sides confused?
So remember, long leg, short leg is not the cue all the time, right?
Mhm.
But we have to watch the alignment. So she is creating angulation here. There's
She's
some
got some long
angulation.
leg, short leg going on. She's shortening her inside leg.
Yeah, she's shortening her inside leg. And it's from this spot right here,
Yeah, you can see it.
it looks ideal. I think I would probably pick on her if I had to pick on her for anything, is a little bit how sequential it is.
Mm.
But granted, this is the bumps, right?
A question in my mind
Yeah,
is like how women and men ski differently
Yeah.
because body composition.
yeah.
Like, should we actually be doing MA the same for men and women? It's a thing that I have very present in my mind.
Well, I teach a lot of women, so I better know my differences. And I teach a lot of girls, so I better know, I better know.
As a woman.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I kind of think like maybe women have a different body composition, which probably results in different
Mhm.
how we move our bodies while we ski. And I'm not sure, like, I actually wish we had more like conversation around this. Different bodies, different skier types, you know?
I think we could get pretty deep, and this may be a conversation for another day. I think you're bringing up a very interesting point. I tend to look at it as about intent. And women have different intents than men do.
Mhm.
I mean, when I've watched this skier ski, I believe that her intent is not to go very fast
That's true.
and to make very controlled turns that control her speed, and
Mhm,
that she has a speed that she prefers to go.
mhm.
And that speed is not fast.
I
And in
agree. I
terms
teach women also, and they're much more controlled. They're much more worried about where they're going, what's on the snow. They process differently, and their center of mass, you have more at the hip on a woman than you do on a man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see the same thing with women over and over again, a lot of the same things.
Well, Kathy Brennan is going to be running a series of webinars about women from the Eastern Division, and I think you could just sign up, I guess, either through the Eastern Division or on Facebook, and it might be worthwhile for some of
Good.
us.
Thank you.
And probably all of us.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
think all of us. Actually, Heidi Etlinger just had also a webinar more about women, more mentorships and things like that. And I was really gratified to see how many men were participating in the webinar.
That's good.
Is she a lot different than this guy? What were the
Yeah,
differences?
different.
How is she
I
different?
think this guy has more upper lower separation, and he's facing down the hill and letting his legs turn under him more so than the woman. The woman was a little more, the body follows the skis there. That's
And
what I saw.
he's also doing a lot of retractions.
Yes.
He is. He
Mhm.
is. He's doing a
Very
retraction.
obvious.
There's
Pardon?
definitely more up and down movement, but he's in bumps that require that, right?
He's in bigger bumps, isn't he? Yeah.
Those are some bigger bumps.
Mhm.
So again, I only had this guy available. I wasn't even going to bring him up, but I'm only bringing him up because the difference in my mind, I think they're skiing very similar, but the intent is completely different.
Mhm.
His intent is
Let's go.
performance minded, right?
Mhm.
Yes, he has a more athletic style,
Hmm.
very clearly.
Oh, yeah, look at that. And
But-
she's just, let me make it to the bottom in one piece.
That's
Yeah,
kind of my question. It's like, is the
100%.
what's the expectation like, and what are we? You know,
You know, well, the expectation of the lesson is whatever you tell me it is, right? I mean, I got to know what your goals are.
Mm.
So her goals are, I
Of
want to be able to
course.
get down safely,
of course.
but I want to be able to be challenged a little bit. I know that I can take her to something a little bit more difficult, and then we can start talking about tactics.
Mhm.
But the point that I'm bringing up is that the difference between this guy here, this is an instructional video from YouTube,
Mhm.
and where's she at? Where'd she go? Bump safe. Here we go. And this girl is, in my mind, and I'm talking in terms of outside ski to outside ski pressure, they're very similar. I think she looks very accomplished in terms of outside ski pressure. I think there's a lot of stepping that's going on,
Mhm.
but for the most part, the angles that she creates, there is a long leg, short leg. There is an alignment right there that she's aligned, and that she moves from one side to the other through. It's a little bit more up and down, but at least there's a lengthening of one and shortening of the other. But it's in my mind, it's about intent.
Mhm.
His intention is to be more athletic and do deeper bumps. Her intent is from what I can gather, and I'm only doing this from the video, I don't know this person, is to go a little slower and be in control.
Mhm. I agree.
Does that help out a little bit, Diane?
Hmm.
which is completely different than this guy, right? Whose intent is to go, this,
Different.
right? I mean, his idea here is just go down. I think this is one of the most amazing videos I've ever run across.
Mhm.
No, thank you for, I actually can't tell you what anyone's intent is, but my whole thought process was around like teaching and
Yeah.
skill set. Like people come to us with whatever skill set they have.
Mhm.
I'm not sure this is like a good example, but
No, this is not a good example, but this
I'm
is a
saying,
terrible example.
It's,
The
and
point,
so, and so like, so this isn't a good example, but I do think like how women and men ski,
Mhm.
like there are differences that we probably should start thinking and talking about,
yes,
because like skilled women skiers, and maybe you were suggesting in this example that that skier had different intent than the other
Mhm.
skier.
Mhm.
But I think there
Yes.
are plenty of like very skilled skiers that don't have different intents.
I
And,
would,
and
so,
regardless, honestly, it doesn't even matter. Like there could be a skier, a male skier, a women's skier, and they just look different from an MA perspective.
right,
Like their body is actually different.
yes.
And I'm struggling with a little bit about some of the and this is like slightly personal, right? Because I've gotten like some feedback around my skiing
Sure,
that like my angles aren't what they want to see, etc. But the bottom line is like I think it's quite possible, like when we do MA, like men and women look different.
yes, they do.
And like solidly skiing look different.
Yes, they do.
Sorry, I'm so sorry to like completely.
I think, well, Diane, you're bringing up a very valid point. And you're a level 2?
I am, yeah.
Are you going for your level 3?
In life, probably not immediately, yes.
No, I mean, that's fine because what you're bringing up is the nuances between level 2 and level 3. So when we talk about level 2, we're just trying to make a connection, a rudimentary connection that to whoever our skier's intent is, whoever our client or our guest's intent is. And the intent, it's very rudimentary, right? Oh, you're into science. Okay, well, let's turn this ski lesson into an experiment. Let's experiment with how much pressure it takes in order to engage the outside ski. That is a very rudimentary way to go ahead and approach a lesson, right? You're trying to make a connection with the person that you're working with. When you start getting to level 3, it is 100% about the person's intent. You can only get so much information about their intent from a video of their movements. You have to ask questions.
Yeah.
And the interview becomes very, very important. So when you go through your level 3 teach, they're going to come to you or they're going to give you like an hour. Well, I don't know about, but the East Coast, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. In the Rocky Mountains, they gave us an hour and they say, okay, go out and talk to everybody, interview everybody about what they're trying to do, and then come up with a quick lesson plan that you think is going to be effective in making a change. Well, you can't do that without asking them a lot of questions. Hey, what are you working on right now? Right? What is it? What have you done that you think is successful? those kind of things. And that really speaks to the person's intent.
Hmm.
Because without that intent, you can't make a connection. And trust me, the examiner is going to know right off the bat. Right? Because you're always speaking to the what, why, and how. Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
100% I'm with you.
Thank you. I
Always
just,
be
the reason
talking
I
about
raise-
intent.
the
and-
reason I raise it is like, sometimes I have a hard time when I watch MA, like this, like where we are like opining on whoever. It's like,
Well, if you're opining about it, that
we-
might be a problem.
I think, no, I'm not saying me, I'm saying us. I'm saying us.
Yeah, no, I know, I get it. It's very, and this is one of the things I always stress when we're doing movement analysis is that we're not trying to judge what they're doing. What we're trying to do is say, kind of like what we did with me, right? These are the things that I'm seeing, and this is what I think is going to be an issue, and what is the cause of those issues. That is it, right? We're not really speaking to my intent, and we're not really speaking to me or anything like that. We're really trying to narrow down the point to very clinically say, here's the overall picture, here's a prescription for change. That's the whole purpose of MA.
That is so helpful. Thank you. Thank you.
Now, the key is when do you use MA?
Like
Always.
for
all the
me,
time.
very beginning of the lesson.
Actually, it happens continuously throughout.
Yeah.
Because you have to make adjustments, right? Because they might get something right off the bat, or what you thought was correct, it might not be the true issue, or it's very important for their feedback that you constantly do more MA. But the MA is internal, right? Yeah, I might verbalize pieces here and there, but most of the MA is for me and how I would help them approach the lesson.
Super helpful. Thank you.
No problem. And when it comes down to it, I mean, here's Donna Weinbreck, right?
Yeah, I was just going to bring her up. She doesn't look that much different than the other guy.
No, she doesn't, but she's really good at getting down the hill well.
But as a good mogul skier, it's not she's a good female mogul skier, she's a good mogul
She's
skier.
just a great mogul skier, right? Because here are the lessers, right? Here are the ones that are taking the clinic, and this is a guy.
That's at Killington.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, the point is that not everybody looks like Donna Weinbreck because their intents are different. These guys are trying not to die. Donna's trying to get down as quickly and as smoothly as she can.
Right, I think that everybody is dropping off.
Yeah.
So
We kind of got off a topic. So anyway, the presentation is available for you guys. I was going to go through and the last few slides are about, matter of fact, I'll pull them off. The last few slides are literally about how the ski to ski works with all the other fundamentals. And you guys can go ahead and look at those at will.
where's the presentation? Is it on the?
It'll be with the video. So that link is where the fundamentals are at. All the presentations are in there. So you can download the PowerPoints and then you can go ahead and look at the video again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So for those that I put my cell phone in case anybody's interested.